Ngarimu, thank you so much for coming on, brother. It's an absolute honor to have you here. Calling in from Perth right now. I know there's a big time gap that we worked around, so I really really appreciate you taking the time out to be here, brother. It means a lot.
Nah, not a problem at all, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it's sick. You know, we were chatting a little bit beforehand and kind of getting to know each other and whatnot. And it's you've had a wild time, man. You've had a wild time, and it's been very very cool. Like I was kind of telling you, I've kind of been watching you for kind of two and a half 3 years now. Well, it's actually probably been longer because I feel like the whole COVID like year is just basically written out. So it's probably close to around about 4 years. And man, like your journey in that time has been crazy. But just kind of for a quick sec, I want to roll it back because I feel like I've heard you talk before, like in terms of training, in terms of getting into everything, that ball really didn't start rolling for you until you moved from New Zealand to Australia, correct?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, I never, I think I never really trained, like consistently trained at all in a gym or had a gym membership until I moved to Australia in 2012, I think. So, yeah, I would have been maybe like 33 now. So whatever, yeah, sort of.
It's
How old was I?
crazy.
Yeah, 24 or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
23. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you kind of said, you weren't even necessarily one of these kids that were like, obviously in New Zealand, rugby is like life. Do you know what I mean? Like I grew up
Yeah.
playing rugby over here. That was my whole life
Yep.
from the age of 6 to like 18, 19, getting into professional academies and whatever. So I know there's obviously that huge culture over there, but you weren't necessarily one of those guys that lived, ate, breathed rugby 24/7. You wanted to go pro. That was your whole life. You did lots of different bits and pieces, didn't you? Like I've kind of heard you say that you
Yeah.
weren't like double down on any one thing throughout kind of like your childhood going into adulthood, right?
No, so I always liked playing rugby and rugby league. Like it was just a thing to do, you know. I think same as any New Zealand kids. But like if I wind it back all the way back, I did sort of like athletics growing up, and also did like so I did athletics in the summer, and then like did rugby in the winter type thing. It was just
Yeah.
like
Same as
so
me, dude. Same as me. And you used to
yeah.
throw, did you throw shot and disc?
I threw discus mainly, and
Okay.
then like I actually really like long jump. But I just wasn't really like that top end, didn't have that top end speed. So yeah, I was sort of just I think I sort of got away from it when I was about 11 or something like that because I was just getting smoked in the races. And I was like, I'm short, so I wasn't really that great, like built that well for long jump or high jump. So I
Okay,
still
yeah.
throw a discus, but I mean, I think that core run, jump, throw sort of those aspects in athletics were like awesome for just teaching the basics of sort of
Yeah,
athleticism. Yeah.
100%. And I think that that's one thing that really interests me is that kind of when I look back through at various guests and even myself, do you know what I mean? Like there generally tends to be like a sport where like they went ham, they doubled down on that, and then their athletic development really came from that aspect. So I'm always fascinated when I find people like yourself where it wasn't like you were developing one particular thing and then you come into actually weightlifting and you've already got an incredible foundation. Do you know what I mean? Like a foundation that people usually spend a very, very, very long time on. So you're obviously very, very talented at what you do. You work incredibly hard. But I think that, it's also fair to say with everything you've said there and whatever, you obviously got some like decent genetics behind you as well. Do you know what I mean? Like you're very, very
Yeah.
athletic. You're very powerful. You're very fast. You're very explosive. And I feel like without those things, there's no way that you would have been able to achieve the insane feats of strength that you've done at sub 100 kilo body weight, which for
Yeah.
someone who hasn't been less than 100 kilos since he was like 13 years old, it
Yeah.
blows my mind. Well, I'm 6'8", man. Do you know what I mean? Like
True. Yeah.
like
You got
I
a good
carry weight
excuse.
really easy. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it always blows my mind to speak to guys like you, and I had the pleasure of speaking to like Alexei Novikov. Do you know what I mean? Like again, not a
Yeah.
super
Right.
tall athlete, but you guys are so fucking explosive. It's crazy. It's insane. So
Yeah,
like,
I think that's key, isn't it? Like that explosive strength, you know. It's it's sort of I guess you can't well, you can teach it, but I mean, if it comes naturally, then it makes so many more things like a lot easier.
dude, I completely agree. I think, and I was speaking to someone at the gym about this, that like the whole concept of teaching someone to be fast and explosive is incredibly hard. You know what I mean? Training for actual speed development is tough. And actually, from a coaching standpoint, when you train for speed development, it generally doesn't stick around that long. Do you know what I mean? You've got a very short half-life of how long those benefits are going to stick around for. So to be someone like yourself who's just so powerful, explosive all the time, man, it's, you know, you kind of push yourself into a league of your own. So what I am really interested in is you rock up in Oz, you get your gym membership. What the fuck is the process of stepping foot into a gym and then entering the CrossFit Games X years later? Because this is what like fries my brain, dude. Like I've been lifting since I was like 13, and the concept of even going to the games like makes me feel physically ill having to do any of that training. So for someone to be so fresh into it, man, how did you do it? What was that process like?
So, you know, a lot like the biggest factor in I think any CrossFit athlete is going to be like the environment that they train in, you know, and the community that they train in. And, you know, like especially in 2012, 2013, when CrossFit had only been around really for maybe like 3 or 4 years type thing. Well, yeah, it was still fairly new. There was just such a huge buzz around it, and they really pushed community like really hard. So, because I moved here, I had pretty much no friends. Like I had my obviously my wife and my eldest daughter was here with us. We had one set of friends that didn't really do much fitness, and so like I literally had no friends. So I went to the gym with like a positive attitude on making friends, and I just really enjoyed it. Really got along well with the people at the gym, at the CrossFit gym. It's just like a really cool community. So you wanted to be there. You know, you wanted to be there like every afternoon, or you know, you just wanted to be at the gym because, especially for me, having not much outside the gym.
Yeah.
So, but then also what that sort of community did was, because everyone else wanted to be there, and they were all putting themselves through these horrific workouts, you know. So if you got someone else next to you who's also feeling like absolute shit, spewing at the drain, you know, and plus there's that competitive aspect. Like I've always been extremely competitive, especially against my sister and stuff like that. So it's just like the cycle of, you know, like it's just an awesome environment. You know, you're getting fit, you're getting healthy, so you see the results as well. You get addicted to you know, seeing your body change and stuff like that, because I didn't really have many muscles or abs or stuff like that when I, you know, turned up to the gym. So it was just like, I don't know, I can't really explain it. It was just, I just fell in love with CrossFit and the community. And then, I mean, the physical development and all of that, the strength gain and all that sort of stuff just came as a byproduct of the whole thing. So it was the best thing that sort of ever happened to me, really, you know, walking into that CrossFit gym and stuff like that. So
yeah, man, 100%. I think, you know, what you kind of said there really makes sense, you know, in terms of you being new to the country, you get involved with this, you're then immediately put in a position where you are going to be around, well, if you like it, you're going to be around like-minded people that want to do the same shit that you do. And I mean, that is the perfect icebreaker. Do you know what I mean? And like you said, when you are there blowing out your ass and you look across and you've got like 6, 7, 8 other guys and girls that all do the same thing, you're like, okay, we're all on the same level, we're all in this together. Then that strange kind of like family, like camaraderie comes together, because you're like, we all want to see each other succeed, we all want to see each other develop and kind of push forward. So yeah, man, I think that's, if anyone's moving countries, just get a gym membership. Do you know what I mean? Just get a gym membership and make friends.
100%, especially a CrossFit gym, you know, or it doesn't have to be a CrossFit gym, but go to a gym that feels right, that feels right to be at. And straight away, you'll know within the first couple of sessions if people are saying hi to you, and you're not just, you just know if a gym's going to work for you. So,
of course,
it's some awesome advice. Some moving country, go to a gym.
Just get involved. Get involved and do stuff, man. Yeah, 100%. So it's the other thing that kind of really interests me, like around CrossFit, and going back through all of the episodes, there's been various different shades thrown on CrossFit at every which way direction. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like now we actually have a true CrossFit athlete here sat with us that we can debunk all this shit with. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. Like, you usually see people come into the games with, again, like that really heavy development around their aerobic energy system, or around the calisthenics and the ability to do muscle ups and handstands and walks and all this sort of stuff, or they are just beautifully technically proficient at ollie lifting. So for someone coming into the sport for the first time, what were the aspects that you were just like picked up straight away? And were there, if there were any aspects where you were like, I suck at this so bad and I need to work so hard at this?
Like I absolutely hated the assault bike. I absolutely hated rowing. No, well, rowing was the sort of the lesser of the three evils. Four evils really. Like assault bike, rower, running, and swimming. Right? Absolutely, like the first CrossFit comp I had that that had swimming in it, I legitimately almost died. Like I've got this picture. I'll put it on my story or something later. And it's me, like, it's a really cool picture because I'm like this out of the water, but it's like, it's a face of fear. Like, so yeah, I really hated swimming, all the aerobic stuff. But one thing I will say is like I still remember my very first CrossFit session at CrossFit, a place called CrossFit Morley. I walked in and I snatched like 85 kilos, like my first ever time. Like I never snatched before in my life. I did the fundamentals outside. What was your body weight? Oh yeah, I think I would have been maybe like 83 or something like that. Yeah, like my peak CrossFit weight was like 87. So I didn't have any muscle or anything like that. Like, yeah, I would say I was body weight over 83. Yeah, like it was really ugly, but like the raw strength. Like now I've still got the video, and looking back on it, I don't know. I just had the strength. So that was, and that actually matched the gym record. the very first, like, so everyone was like, what the hell, like this dude, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know, I didn't really know what to, I was just lifting weights. So I think after, and then I slowly realized, I think through like, over the next couple of months or something like that, that I was pretty strong for a CrossFitter, especially like somebody new.
Yeah.
So and then my very first ever tested back squat, I think I squatted like 185 kilos or something like that. And like I'd never ever tested my back squat in my life. I think I think I'd maybe done like, I don't think I would have ever really trained back squat, but I just had a really good, technically sound squat and strong legs. I'd say from skateboarding, because I skateboarded a lot growing up from like 12 to like 16.
Yeah.
In Auckland, where it's just hilly. It's like, so we had to, we skated everywhere and just skating up the hills, down the hills, up. Anyway, getting off track. But yeah, I was just really lucky that I had like some raw strength.
Yeah.
When I first went to the CrossFit gym, I sucked at the gymnastic stuff. And like I learned how to kip pull-ups before I could do strict ones. So just because you want to learn how to do like those fancy kips and all of that first. So I really actually regret not learning how to do proper strict pull-ups first. But yeah, so I was pretty shit at most, most of the other aspects of CrossFit, but I think the lifting stuff sort of came
came really
just
natural to
naturally.
you.
Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
pretty lucky with that.
So then you made your official CrossFit Games debut in what, like 2017?
Yeah, yeah. So we made the my team. So I went to CrossFit Games with the team. So our team made the
That was
CrossFit Games in
Injustice, right?
Injustice CrossFit. Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to Injustice.
Yeah, man, that's it. That's incredible. Do you know what I mean?
In
Like just
2017.
getting there.
Yeah, yeah. So
Dude.
and like yeah, so in between that, obviously, like I moved from like North Perth to South Perth, and that's when I moved to Injustice. And when I moved to Injustice, I think that's when my sort of CrossFit training just really took off, because I went from being like the strongest dude in the gym to the weakest, with probably the shittiest like cardio out of the sort of better people that were competing.
Which is what you want,
Average
right?
gymnastics, exactly what you want, man. So I moved to a gym where everyone was just pushing me, and oh man, Injustice was just like a whole nother beast. I remember my second ever workout. I rocked up early one afternoon before the class had started, like an hour and a half earlier actually. And my second ever workout at Injustice was with 3 other guys, and we did a 75-minute EMOM. And like, they wrote it up on the board, and I was like, is this fucking for real? One of the rounds, I think it was like a 4 or 5 round 75-minute EMOM. So it's like 5 exercises that just repeated, but there was a 1-minute rest in between, I think, the 5 exercises.
So generous. So generous.
But like I looked up at the board and I was like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna do this. And but the thing is, like, we started it, there was probably about 15 seconds rest in between each, so it was about 45 seconds on, 15 seconds off for 5 rounds, and then a 1-minute rest. It was like running, back squat, pull-ups. I can't remember exactly everything, but I remember I got to like 45 minutes and I wanted to stop, and then I was just like, fuck, I think I actually might do this. And like the other dudes weren't stopping. I think that and like they were like the fittest dudes in the gym. But then I just remember, like, we got to the end of that 75-minute EMOM, and I was just like, holy shit, what the hell just happened? And I think, like, mentally doing that workout was just a huge sort of like benchmark for me. It was like, holy fuck, like I just worked out pretty much nonstop for 75 minutes. And I think it's sort of, they never said it or anything like that, because it was just, but I think I sort of like accepted a little bit into the club, of the boys after that. If you could stick around for the workout like that, I think it was like just a good sign for them moving
It's like your
forward.
initiation into the gang, isn't it?
It was, man. It was in a way. So moving to Justice was absolutely huge. The community there was like next level. Yeah, it was just like a huge part in I guess my strength training career and all that sort of stuff, moving down there. So
yeah, 100%. Like you said, like being in that environment, like you can't put a price on that. Being around other people that are driven, and other people that are doing what you want to do, and other people that are stronger than you. Like I was kind of saying beforehand, it pays dividends to be the weakest, dumbest, most uneducated person in the room, because you're always going to learn from it. And I mean, I think that kind of speaks to exactly what happened in your situation, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're so gifted, willing to work so hard, and then having all of that extra, information around you from those guys to kind of help you get through and push your development on. You can't really ask for more than that. Do you know what I mean, man? It's absolutely incredible.
Exactly, man. You can't buy that stuff. You just have to, seek it out, and when you find it, you really
100%. So in terms of, obviously, we know that around CrossFit, you have so many elements to train for. It's incredibly overwhelming. And from my standpoint, I feel like a lot of people, not necessarily as much on the pro scene, because they have nutritionists, they have recovery experts, they know what they're doing. But for a lot of people that aren't necessarily that pro scene, that trying to get up to that pro level, there's so much overtraining going on. The body's so beaten up because people don't necessarily know how to program, how to scale, how to peak, how to do any of those things. So for you coming into it, was it getting ready for the games? Was it literally just a case of come in, do whatever the other guys are doing, and then go home? Is there anything that was tailored for you coming into it? And as a result of those things, did you find that you were getting into positions where you're like, oh man, I really am fucking beat up here and I shouldn't be doing this? Or did you feel pretty good the whole way through?
Yeah. So the year of the games, we did start. We've started following the training plan. I don't know if you heard of the training plan. It was a guy named Yami Mekinen, I want to say, something like this.
Okay. The training plan.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give that
I should know a bit more about it. But anyway, we're following his games prep sort of program, but pretty closely.
Yeah.
So our training was pretty structured. There was a lot of training. Like I was doing I was training like 10 sessions a week. So yeah.
Between lifting and cardio.
That was included in that. So yes, but yeah, the 10 sessions covered lifting and cardio. We usually did most of the lifting in the afternoons, but I'd get up at like 4:30, drive to the gym, get to the gym at 5, train from 5 till 6. I was meant to start work at 6, but I was like, so many things just really lined up. Like Injustice was like 3 minutes drive from my work. So I get to work late, like almost every day, like 6:05. So get up, and then I'd finish work at 2:30. So at that time I was working from 6 to 2:30. So finish at 2:30 in the afternoon, and then just drive back to the gym, and then legit train from 3 till 5.
Yeah.
And just did that 5 days a week. And then we would work out on either Saturday or Sunday, just one session. And then you'd have to have one of those other days off. So it was there was a huge amount of volume, but a lot of it was tailored through the training plan.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I didn't ever really feel overtrained or anything like that.
Yeah.
I used to eat I never had a nutritionist or anything like that either, but with that, one thing I do love eating, so I did just eat a lot. So my energy levels were never really, and because I had to start get up at 4, I went to sleep, quite early as well. So I think I just had to make sure that I sort of looked after my nutrition. Well, I ate enough. I wouldn't say looked after nutrition, but I just ate a lot. And because the training volume was so high, I wasn't ever getting fat or anything like that.
Yeah, you can get away with it as well.
Yeah, my metabolism was just through the roof, so I could just eat heaps, train. I managed to cope with it pretty well. I never really had any huge injuries. I was pretty lucky. I did hurt my left shoulder once in the qualifying for the games at the regional competition, because I had to do I still think it's the most stupidest movement. So I know CrossFit has some stupid movements, but for a while there they were pushing single arm dumbbell overhead squats, and this functional, a lot of stuff is functional, but when are you ever really holding 30 kilos over your head on one arm and squatting with it? I just got a huge beef with that movement, because basically I hurt my shoulder. So I had to do I think we had 100 of those to do in a workout between the 3 of us, and my 2 partners, they kept getting no repped, so I ended up having to do
oh my
50
God.
of them myself,
Oh, God.
but anyway, I managed to stay pretty yeah, pretty injury free. Didn't really fatigue a lot, you know, that I can remember. So I don't know. It was just because obviously I'd been training CrossFit for like 4 years. I just sort of conditioned myself up to, you know, that amount of volume and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah, which is
it wasn't like it
perfect.
was just
Yeah, and then obviously, then I think that is probably one of the things that is on the more daunting side of things for people that then come across into a sport like strongman. That if you just come from like bodybuilding or athletics or this or that, when you hit those like first few weeks of training and you're just like, what the fuck is this volume? What is this weight? My CNS doesn't know what's going on. Like you just get hit from every angle. So I think, you know, the fact that you had 4 years of conditioning under your belt, I would imagine the transition was pretty seamless, was it not?
to strongman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember, because when I first, because I've had the same coach in strongman all the way through. So I
Oh,
remember,
for real? That's sick.
yeah. So I met, so my coach is Maximus McCall, on Insta, and Max and I, yeah, he's been my coach since day one of strongman, and I remember, so I met, like the story of I met him at my very first my very first strongman comp after the games. So like as soon as the games was over, I'm like, I'm doing strongman, because like I was introduced to all these little movements through CrossFit, like farmer's walk, yoke, obviously like, you know, overhead pressing, squatting, like all that sort of stuff.
All your sandbag stuff and
sandbag carries, all of that was in strongman already. I mean, in CrossFit already. And I just enjoyed it way more than like running and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, as soon as the games was over, I was like, oh, I'm doing strongman comp. And went to my first strongman comp and I saw Max there, and he was just like this skinny dude with glasses. Kid, I call him a kid because he was only like maybe 21 or something like that. I can't remember, I should know better. And he was like skinny, he's like, I don't know, a bit taller than me, but I remember he yoked like 350 kilos or something like that. Like, and he was competing in heavyweight. And I'm sure he wouldn't have been much over 100 at all. He's like 6 foot, I don't know, maybe 2 or something like that. But I'm like, how the hell is this dude yoking like 350? He's got like skinny, he's got glasses on, all this. And anyway, I remember at the end of the comp, I was like, oh, where do you train? This and that, like just trying to pick his brain. I'm like, man, this dude's strong for you know,
for a skinny guy.
not so strong looking dude. Anyway, and then he's like, oh, I train out of this gym, Revo, blah, blah. He's like, oh, I actually do. I was like, oh, who's your coach? And he was actually coached by Tom Hibbert at the time.
Oh, that's mad.
Yeah, and he said to me, oh, my coach is, this story is public knowledge now, but he's like, oh, my coach is Tom Hibbert, but he's not actually taking on any new clients at the moment. And that was turned out to be a lie. And he's like, oh, he's like, but I do coaching. And Max was a strength coach, like he was a personal trainer. So yeah, he told me that Tom was full. I don't think I would have been able to afford Tom's training at the time anyway. So yeah. But yeah, so I ended up like messaging him, I think a couple weeks later or something like that, and said, hey, I'm looking for a strongman coach, because I never had like a personal coach in CrossFit. I was like, if I'm gonna do strongman, like I want to get a coach for it, because I know nothing about strength training per se. You know what I mean? Like I literally would just do what was ever on the board, whatever was on the board. At CrossFit. So yeah, didn't have a plan or anything like that, how to get strong. So yeah, got Max, and what was the original sort of question? How do we get back there? What was your original question?
It was just kind of the transition, the seamless transition between kind of the CrossFit Games and coming into strongman. And yeah, like you kind of summed it up exactly there, man.
And then yeah, pretty much I used to, like, I remember the first training program Max sent me, and I was like, is that it? You know what I mean? Like it was literally, it was like, I think it was 5 sessions
So your
that
sessions per
maybe
week have halved at this point.
halved, halved of that. And I said to him, "Oh, can I still do like, should I do some cardio on like, can I do double days for like, maybe just Monday, Tuesday or what?" And they got to, I think he sort of tried to incorporate it, and then he's like, "Mate, you just need to stop."
Yeah, you don't need this
Strength
shit, man.
train. So he said strength training is different. Like less is more. You need to trust the process. And so, yeah, my training days like halved. I think for a little while I probably was still doing like a little bit with the boys, but then once I started seeing like my strength, then
Bang.
like my strict press went from like 75 kilos to like, I want to say like 85 kilos, like really fast, like within maybe like over the first training cycle, which was 8 weeks. So like I
Bang.
put 10 kilos on it, and I was like, okay, I think I need to actually like listen because this is working. So
Yeah.
yeah, the transition was, yeah, pretty pretty easy once I accepted like that I didn't need to do as much volume on like all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, yeah, the workload was like way easier to manage. So
So coming out of the CrossFit Games, what were you kind of weighing in and around about there?
I was like 87, like on the dot, every 87 and a half, something like that.
So when you came out of the
Um,
games, did you guys have a chat about, okay, here it needs to be in a weight category? Are we going to look to go bigger, or are we going to look to try and shrink down and try and maintain size? Like, did you flit with the idea of being in like the around the 80 mark, or was it always, nah, I want to get bigger, I want to go 90 plus?
I never. I think I was like, I think I had like a DEXA body scan in 2017, a couple months before the games, and I was like 8% body fat or something like that. So there was literally not much room for me to move to go down.
Yeah,
Like 7 kilos at probably like 12% body fat or something like that. You're probably holding quite a lot of water.
yeah.
And if you want to get under, like you can. But for me, I think I was just, I was at like a really good weight to put on a bit more muscle and still be under 90. So, um, and I probably was a little bit heavier going into my first comp after that. So, yeah, look, I didn't really ever think about going down. Yeah, just thought 90 was like good weight
Perfect.
category.
And
Like,
it's not too
yeah,
much as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you may have experienced it before, but your body really knows that sweet spot of when it's got enough body weight behind it. Do you know what I mean? And then when you then try to just eat for eating's sake and trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you go out to perform and you're like, everything feels way tougher. Do you know what I mean? Everything doesn't feel like
yeah.
it's just like bang, fire, and you find you kind of have to
Ah,
almost like it's like you're waded through custard or something. Like you're having to really push really hard. And you're like, wow, my body just does not feel like it's firing all cylinders at the same time now.
yeah, that's funny, man. Because I never I did my first um proper comp at 105 earlier this year in March or something like that.
Yeah.
Might have even been April. And yeah, like, and I sort of deliberately like bulked a little bit to get there. And while I got stronger, like I remember I went to run the farmers on the day, and like my feet were literally just couldn't keep up with how fast I was trying to walk. And I like stumbled, and I was like, fuck, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And then like I mean it was so fast, it was only like 15-meter farms or something. I quickly picked them up and kept going. But I remember like I was like, holy shit, that feels weird not being. And the same thing happened later in the day when I had a sandbag run. Like I almost tripped with the sandbag, and I was like, shit, like I neglected speed work a little bit in my prep. So, and it showed, like it was just weird having that extra body weight and how it sort of just made things not quite
Yeah, yeah,
explosively
it
balanced. Yeah.
just doesn't gel. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it something doesn't feel right. And I think this is like obviously being 6'8", I'm walking around like 135, 140 kilos. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like super easy. So I think I'm always going to be in the open category. I don't have a fucking choice here. I'm never going to be in a weight cat. But for guys like you, I find like this is the really hard part. Because like, so we had Del McPherson on 3D Strength was the last guy, obviously absolutely incredible weight category strongman.
Yes.
But for you guys, you're like, okay, I smashed the 90 kilo division. Now what? Okay,
Yeah.
I got to get bigger and then improve all of my stamina, my speed, all of my reactive force, everything again to then jump up to the 105. And then what? Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like you guys are always kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, especially when like you did, you come out of nowhere, you fucking put the biggest stamp on the scene that you can. And then you're like, so now what? What do I do now, bro?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's it's funny how that happened, but like I was thinking of, because I've been toying with going up. I think I will still compete at 105 locally, just because like it's like, I don't know, I don't want to be beaten up on, like, it's just a bit more of a challenge, I think, at 105 locally and stuff like that. But then like I don't really like being at 105 either. So like because I'm only like 5'9", so I just get like, I just don't like looking fat in the mirror and shit and stuff like that. Having a chubby, like, because I mean, that's all part of your your mental state and stuff like that. Like if you're looking in the mirror and you don't like being a bit fluffier and stuff like that, you're not going to feel good. So I don't particularly, I mean, I don't know, maybe I should have been, I should try and be a bit more leaner and all that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I think 90, nationally and internationally, just like, why would I change?
Bro, you're literally the strongest under 90 kilo man like in the fucking world. Do you know what I mean? I think if anyone doesn't need to change anything, it's probably you. I feel like you got this down, brother. I feel like you got this down. Like at 90 kilos, we're Gucci. So I think that's the thing, isn't it? You just have to, you get caught between that rock and the hard place. If it's like, okay, well, I can do this and I know I'm going to have to work hard for it, or I can stay at this weight category and do what you've kind of been doing, where you're just blowing every world record out of the water and just kind of working through your own personal list. So obviously, like, you've done incredible things with the 200 kilo stone load. That was insane. The 100 kg monster dumbbell, which is throwing around like 96 kilo monster dumbbell for like reps now, which is like is dope to see. Like, that's insane stuff, man. So for you, what do you get more pleasure out of? Going for the world records or being in front of that crowd and competing in like a 5-6 event full-on day, getting out there, podium, the lot? What tickles your pickle a little bit? What gets you going?
I think it's a pretty even mix of both, to be honest. Like, I still much rather compete in competitions and stuff like that. Okay. It's because I think both of them, what drives me, I think, overall is just sort of like is sort of inspiring people, you know what I mean, and trying to just push things to like a bit like another level, like inspiring, especially like people from back home and stuff like that, or just anyone that really messages me and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I was talking to you earlier, and like I'd sort of, you mentioned like you've been following me for like 3 years and stuff like that, and watching my journey and stuff like that. And I think it's easy for me to forget that like you are an inspiration to some people and stuff like that. So being able to inspire people, it really does like make push you to keep going, and it sort of makes it, all the hard work and all that sort of stuff worth it. So yes, at the end of the day, that's probably the main factor. That drives me. Yeah. But on like a personal challenge note, I like both of them, but I think competing is just it's sort of where like everything can come into play. There's so many different elements of a competition, you know what I mean? Where it's like the mental gamesmanship with people. you know what I mean? Like, I low key love that. Like,
and if you're competitive as well, like I am horrifically competitive, like horrifically competitive. I would rather die than come in second place. Like that's just me. That's how I'm built. So I know exactly what you mean, because when you're in competition, you're always getting that like little kick out of it. You know what I mean? It's like a drug for us, where it's like, okay, I got 5 events, I got 5 opportunities to just blow it out of the water, to just kill this, to work really, really hard. And then you kind of keep tracking. You're like, okay, I know he's got 11 reps. I know he's got 12. I need to go up there. I need to do 13. I've got this. I've got my groove. And then the people start cheering. And then you start to get in your rhythm. And you're like, yeah, okay, this is good. I feel all of this. But then when you're doing that world record shit, it's like, that's just on you, man. Like, there's the dumbbell. It's in the middle of the room. Here's a camera. Go pick it up. You're like, man, it's so hard to get yourself G'd up and hyped up for that when you don't have someone else there being like, okay, it's me and you, man, head to head. Last one standing wins. Let's go. I'm going to give everything. Like, I will not be the first person leaving this platform. Like, I don't care what happens. You have to take me off in a stretcher. Do you know what I mean?
Like, and look, but like both of those scenarios are just like, you know, they're just what you work for in the end, you know what I mean? So, and they're both like such cool challenges, like, you know, especially because like, you know, when you got a world record or something like that, and it's just you versus the implement, you know, it's like, and like it's just like comes down to one moment, you know, like your whole 10, 9, like 8-week training block literally is defined by it's like this one. And I think once you like, when you get like conquering those little, you know, like especially like if you take the stone, for example. Like,
I was about to say that. I was about to say the stone, man. Was it third lift? You get it, and it's just
third attempt, man. You know what I mean? Like, I missed my warm up weight at 180, and I was like, but I thought like something like I knew what I think the key was I knew what I did wrong. Like I just didn't.
Perfect.
Yeah. So like I lifted, like this is meant to be a warm-up, so you meant to nail it. But I lapped the stone really easy, extended quite easy, but I just didn't quite finish. Like
you didn't get that triple extension through the chest.
Yeah, I just didn't like time my forward motion correctly going over it, and I was
Did you just hit the bar with the stone?
Yeah, I think actually I came down on top of it. So I came down on top of the bar, but I was, you know, literally like 5 mil to this side of the bar. But at least the height was there. So I was like, all right.
It'll be all right.
For some reason, I just wasn't worried. Like I sort of knew instantly as soon as I knew where it hit, I was like, okay, that's all good. Second one, you know, picked the 200, went to get it up and over, and I was like, oh, fuck, what happened? I think I was just, I had like my hands in a real funny spot, like because I think I hit the bar, and I was trying to push it over, but I had my hands on like a real weird spot.
Well, you couldn't really like push through it at all. You were just kind of around the.
Yeah, I think my hands ended up being underneath it quite a lot.
Where, so you kind of hit here, and then you kind of
I went like that, and I was trying to like bicep curl it up.
Just casually bicep curl 180 kilo stone.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I'd hit the top, but then I shifted my hands underneath, I think, instead of behind the stone. Anyway, like I was like, and this stuff's happened to me like twice now with stones. Like I had a what's his last name? One of the like veterans in WA Strongman, Jeremy, I forget his last name now. He was there watching me, and he said, "Mate, you try to bicep curl that one over, get your hands back and behind, and just push it over. It's there, just push it over." And like you can't buy that stuff either. So like Jeremy told me this cue, literally like, you know, 5 minutes later, lifted it, got to the same position, and this time instead of having my hands underneath, I just literally pulled them to the back and pushed it up and over, and it went over, and I was just like, you know, it's just like an awesome feeling because you know, you used to work so hard for this, you know, these sort of things, and it's just like, it's a awesome, privilege to be able to break it, to be able to lift it, to, just be able to finish the day and actually make my lift, after two failed. So, I mean, that's the other side of, you get comps and world records. They both like have their own sort of cool aspects, to them. So,
Yeah,
they
100%.
both go hand in hand.
Yeah, I totally get that, man. I totally get that. Now, all of that, is obviously fantastic. But when we kind of look back at kind of, what we've had to go through over the last kind of, I would say 18 months. I know you guys are over in Australia are still kind of struggling with the repercussions of everything that's kind of gone on across the world. But I kind of want to hop into how you've kind of found this process kind of coming out of all of these competitive environments. One thing that we've spoken about quite heavily on this podcast is the fact that, as lifters, there's a lot of our identity in who we believe we are and who we represent, you know what I mean, to the outside world it's based in the gym, and it's based around being able to pick up these cool things and do all this shit that we really like. So for a lot of people that lost that in the last 18 months, I think it's been, well, I know I struggled a hell of a lot, and I know that a lot of people that I've spoken to have struggled too. So talk to me a little bit about how you found that process. Was it a time for you to take a little bit of time off to actually kind of get your body right, get your head right, and then find that passion again and come back into it? Or was it just like okay, we've got to keep this sawmill turning, we've got to keep on grinding? Like, how did you kind of find the entire thing?
Yeah, so I think it's a really cool, that you bring it up, because it's probably pretty relevant, obviously, right now. But for me, the first, I think like the first, how long? Yeah, like it's probably 18 months ago now, wasn't it? It was like sort of February-ish, February 2020, was it?
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, dude, I can't keep track of it all either, man.
Man, so when it first came out, I think we were in lockdown for like 9 weeks, and I remember I trained like, I just kept keeping on. We were like, Arnold's is in March or April or something like that. So we sort of thought it was all going to go ahead and stuff like that. Yeah, so I kept training like pretty like regularly during lockdown and stuff like that, for like maybe about 6 of the 9 weeks. And then I thought, like, got to the point where actually one night I went off course. I was like snatching like with the axle bar, and I broke like this little like a bone in my little finger. And then like I was like, oh fuck, like what the hell. And anyway, so after that I sort of just took time to chill. Last year I was still like planning on competing at a lot of like competitions. What did we end up doing last year? We had record breaks at the end of the year. We were lucky enough to do that. So that was, I had a goal of doing that, and managed to do that. So that was all good. Like that sort of gave me something to work towards. That was all good. And then we had some other stuff happen, or that was planned to happen this year. And I think like I managed to do one comp earlier this year, but like for me, all of my big goals this year were to do stuff like nationally and then internationally, and like none of them have eventuated. So it's
got to be hard.
It has been pretty tough, like just motivation to like. There's still been some local competitions, but like I'm so competitive, like I just really want to attack like these sort of national and international competitions. So look, I've just taken a step back a little bit, forced by obviously the situations and stuff like that. And like I'll admit, like it's not been easy. I've struggled with motivation a lot at times over the past sort of like 6 months. And that for me is like been really strange to deal with, because I've always just had like these little goals just come up one after another and stuff that I can sort of get stuck into. But like I'd say, I don't know if it was if it's sort of like a bit of depression, or if it's just, you know, like not having. It probably is classed as, you know, some little form, but, you know, motivation just went down to train and stuff like that. And I just had to take a little break, and then some of it was forced because like I injured my knee and stuff like that. But you know what it did do as well was just allow me to sort of realign with like my family and stuff like that, and actually start doing a bit more work at work. You know, like you know, doing some of the stuff that I'm meant to do, but also like just so it was sort of a blessing in disguise, because I've just been able to like come home and like be present at home in the afternoons and stuff, rather than being at the gym working out till like 5:30 and stuff like that. So like it's had its upsides and its downsides, but like I think, yeah, like it's important to note that you know, like it hasn't been easy to try and like you know, get up to train every day, to be honest. But yeah, look, we've got you know, it's starting to come back a bit more now. Like I still have a bit of a problem with my knee that I'm actually going to see somebody about tomorrow. Let's see a sports doctor and stuff like that. But yeah, look, motivation's definitely started to come back, and I think like this podcast has been good as well to sort of, you know, just get back into you know, talking strongman and you know, just get motivation like back online. So it's yeah, look, I mean, it's tough, you know. COVID's sort of just, I don't know, it's thrown so many things into chaos over the last
Bro, it's just throwing so many spanners into the works, man. So many spanners in terms of organizing events, getting stuff ready, things being cancelled last minute, athletes working through like these hardcore fucking peaking phases in their back gardens to come to competitions that get cancelled like 48 hours before they're meant to go ahead and stuff, man. Like it's just, it's devastating, do you know what I mean? And people that aren't in this don't understand what that's like for someone that does this shit. But it's like, you know, I don't know, maybe like you're going for a promotion at work and you're fucking working, you're grinding your ass off 16 hours a day to try and get this promotion, and then just before the deadline and you've handed everything in, your boss is like, oh, by the way, that promotion's not on the table anymore, but thank you very much for doing all this work for nothing. And you're like, wait, what? What? Do you know what I mean? Like it's the exact same. So I think it's really, it's messed with a lot of people's heads, and I think it's also shown people if they are truly passionate about this. Do you know what I mean? Like for the people that were kind of, that were in it, that were enjoying it, that were kind of larking about, this has been the thing to be like, okay, if you're really serious about this and you want to keep on doing this, then you're going to find ways to do bits and pieces and this and that and whatever, and not just fall off of the wagon for 18 months. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's another beautiful thing that's kind of come out of this, is that the innovation that people have created, you know what I mean? Like fucking sellotaping weights onto bars and doing all this crazy nonsense. It's just like, these are the people that just want to pick up stuff and put it down again. Do you know what I mean? Like these are the people that just enjoy doing this shit. These are the people like you. These are the people like me. Do you know what I mean? They're around the back garden at whatever time doing this crazy stuff. Meanwhile, everyone's sat in front of watching another Netflix documentary series, drinking wine and eating chocolate. Do you know what I mean? It's like, some people just get off in different ways, man.
I know it's been pretty inspirational to watch some people, you know, on the gram and stuff like that have been pushing through. And you know, it's just a good reminder to, you know, that it's not all doom and gloom. You know, there are people out there, you know, pushing on and just trying to make it to, you know, anything that they can, any comps they can, and all that sort of stuff. And no, it's definitely going to be. I'm really looking forward to watching this year's Worlds, and like watching some of the, especially this year's Worlds. I think it'd be really cool to see, you know, what goes down. I don't know, like obviously the situation here is just,
it's pretty crazy. I don't know 100% about it, but I do know, you know, over in Australia, the rules and regs are pretty fucking tight at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, man, it's just like
dumb.
Just I get it. I get it. It's because the thing is, we sort of try to adopt this like you know, like elimination sort of philosophy for ages. Whereas like people in the UK, you guys all just got the vaccine straight away, and then you hit a target, and you're like, all right, we're opening type thing. So I think we're just a little bit behind on it all. It's like frustrating to talk about, but pretty much we can't really, like, borders are just closed. Like even state borders, like you can't go to New South Wales, you can't go to Victoria and stuff like that. Like travel between our borders. So we're lucky, especially here in WA, in the fact like that we're pretty much free to go about our lives within our state. But like, it's just frustrating. You can't go anywhere really internationally without applying, and then forking out an arm and a leg to go into bloody quarantine when you get back, and it's just like it's not even viable. So
and I think that's the thing, like you have to bring attention to that, because people will say like, oh well, there are these opportunities and there are these shows that fucking go on in Bahrain and Dubai and this and that and whatever, and it's like, okay guys, but let's think about it logically. From a truly professional standpoint, at an open elite category, there are maybe 4 dudes that are full-time strongmen. 4 out of every fucking competitor in the world, dude. Those are the only 4 guys that can afford to come back and take 2 weeks quarantine and not get hit. Everyone else has got a boss that's going to be like, hey man, you're doing this stuff in your own time. You're not going to get all of this time off as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's so hard for those guys that are juggling stuff, that aren't self-employed and whatever, that have to, make their own money. It's, again, just another element that people don't think about the professional scene. And it's so fucking hard, man. It's so hard.
Oh, no, that's it. And like, even if you just come down to money and all that sort of stuff. So, and then we've got families and stuff to worry about, and then you're really going to be like the selfish guy out of, your community and your household that pees off to America, somewhere, and and then but you know what? It's we've had a while to sort of get over it and all that sort of stuff now, and I'm looking forward to see how this year's Worlds goes down. Should be really cool competition to watch and stuff like that. So
100%, man. I'm very, very, very excited for that. So have you had your qualifiers for the OSG yet?
You mean in WA here?
Yeah.
Or
is the OSG qualifiers, or is this the online video?
I think there's online qualifiers at the moment.
So is that something that you're going for, or have you already got an invite from winning it last year?
I got an invite from winning it in 2019.
Cool. Sorry, 2019. That's why I wasn't 100% sure whether or not you'd get the invite, because of course it carries across from 2 years. It's mad.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Like, got to milk it for like a whole nother year because nobody else, no one else, only for the few fact that didn't go ahead. But I think I'm not sure how it works actually, because they were meant to, I know the Australian competition that would have qualified the Australians for OSG didn't get to go ahead this year. So I'm not sure exactly how what the situation is with new qualifiers. But I guess other people who also went to Worlds last time probably requalify. I'm actually not sure.
This is what I was trying to figure out earlier. I was like, okay, so then do they just close out new entries, or is it a case of if the entries surpass the entries from the qualifiers in 2019, to then they get the place instead of that? Like, it's so confusing, and I have not. So I'm glad that even you don't know what's going on, because it doesn't make me feel quite so crazy. That's fine. Okay.
And I guess I've probably just been a little bit selfish and not sort out. Once I got mine, but I was like,
dude, I mean, you don't need to worry.
Yeah. So, but I'm not sure, to be honest. So
you just get to rock up with your kit bag and throw some stuff around and have a good time, man. Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
Okay, so Ngarimu, I love to end the podcast the same way with absolutely everyone. I always find it a very, very fascinating question, because I feel like we get to learn a little bit more about you. So for a sec, real quick, I want you to imagine that you are stepping into a time machine. And when you step into that time machine, you are brought back in time to your younger self. You're 10, 11, 12 years of age. Very formative years. You've got so much exploring to do in and of yourself as a human being, your career paths, your passions, your loves, romances, whatever it might be. You get to spend a few moments with your younger self and impart some wisdom, knowledge, a mantra, a way to live by, something to help navigate your younger self through all of the trials and tribulations that you know will face this young man ahead of him. And in those moments, what is it that you give or you say to your younger self to help you to get to where you are today?
Shit, that's a tough question, I guess. What the hell would I say? I would. It's a hard question because obviously, like I'm really happy with where I am today, right now, you know, and I think, looking back, everything I've done has led me to this point, you know what I mean? So I think,
dude, you can say don't change anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's completely up to you. Like, what do you think he needs to hear?
One thing I would tell my younger self is just to really appreciate my relatives and everyone that's around, like when they are around, because
Yeah.
Deaths happen, man, and once people die, there's no coming back. You know what I mean? So that's probably because I managed my way through everything else that happened to me. You know, even like, I was a little shit when I was 11. You know, I wasted a whole lot of time in my life, like smoking weed and stuff like this. You know what I mean? I was thinking, oh, but I tell myself not to do that. But in a way, it made me who I am today. You know, so I think I just tell myself to appreciate my relatives, my elders, my family. You know, while they're around, because at the end of the day, life's not forever, so you just got to appreciate people while they're around.
Brother, I could not think of a more perfect way to round off this podcast, man. Thank you so much for being here, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I've been watching you for a while. You're a very, very exciting man to watch. I don't think there's nothing that you could probably put your hand to that you wouldn't excel in. You're incredibly driven. You're incredibly passionate. You're incredibly inspirational. Just please keep on doing what you're doing, man, because whether you realize it or not, you are changing lives, you are inspiring people, you are creating a better place. So thank you for what you're doing, and just keep it up, man.
No worries, man. Thanks very much for having me. Thanks for the kind words. It's pretty timely for me, you know, having this chat. So I really appreciate it, and I'll definitely keep doing what I'm doing. So thanks for having me on.